Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the well-oiled machine of maritime law to answer one massive question: exactly who pays when an oil spill happens? Now, obviously, oil spills are incredibly serious events, but we're going to keep things bright today by exploring the robust, highly fascinating legal framework that's actually designed to make things right. It is all about accountability, protection, and making sure the money is there when it's needed most.
Here is exactly what we're going to map out today. First, the pollution safety net. Then we'll look at how subrogation actually works, consolidating the claims, arresting the ship, and finally, the mandatory insurance rule.
Section 1. The pollution safety net. The claim process begins.
So let's visualize this as a simple timeline, starting with Section 183 of the framework. Step 1, an incident occurs. Step 2, the shipowner constitutes a compensation fund. And then Step 3, this is the crucial part. The High Court or central government issues a formal, highly visible public notice. This notice literally invites anyone who has suffered pollution damage to step right up and make a claim. The whole system is designed from day one to be completely transparent.
But listen, what if there's a holdup? If the responsible party hasn't actually established that fund yet, the safety net doesn't just disappear. Under Section 180, victims don't have to sit around waiting. They have a direct path to approach the High Court or central government to seek compensation right away. The architecture here ensures claimants are never left stranded.
Moving on to Section 2, how subrogation actually works. Stepping into the claimant's shoes.
Okay, we're diving into Section 184 now. Subrogation sounds like heavy legal jargon, I know, but just picture it like a legal cheat code for doing the right thing. Basically, if a shipowner, or maybe their insurer, decides to step up and pay compensation to a victim early, out of pocket, before the official fund is even distributed, they get subrogation rights. That means they literally get to step into the shoes of the person they just helped.
You can really see how this encourages fast payouts when you compare the two paths. A standard claimant just has to wait, eventually receiving their money from the fund. But a subrogated insurer, because they acted in good faith and paid the victim immediately, they just take that claimant's place in line. Once the fund is finalized, the insurer gets reimbursed, the victims get their money right away, and the responsible actors aren't penalized for acting quickly. It's brilliant.
And the framework even plans for the future. Let's say a shipowner can prove to the High Court that they might be forced to pay more compensation down the road. Well, the court can actually provisionally set aside a chunk of the fund right then and there. The money is safely locked away so the owner can enforce their subrogation claim when that later date finally arrives.
Section 3. Consolidating the claims. Dividing the pie.
Now, under Section 185, imagine a massive pie chart representing the total fund. The High Court has to manage an inevitable rush of requests, right? So they consolidate every single claim into this one fund and distribute it proportionately. You've got your standard victim claims, those subrogated claims we just talked about, and then one highly surprising third category.
And that third category is the ship owner's own voluntary expenses. This is kind of wild, but if the ship owner voluntarily spends money or makes reasonable sacrifices to minimize the pollution damage right as the incident is happening, those cleanup costs actually rank equally with the victim's claims. It's an incentive. The law actively wants owners to jump in and stop the pollution immediately, promising them their expenses will be treated as legitimate claims against the fund.
Section 4. Arresting the ship. Enforcing the rules.
So you gotta wonder, what happens if things go south? What if a shipowner just completely ignores the High Court, refuses to pay the compensation order, and hasn't bothered to set up a fund at all?
This is where the absolute enforcement powers of Section 186 kick in, and they do not mess around. If an owner bails on the responsibility, claimants can literally apply to the court to arrest the responsible ship. And honestly, it gets even stricter, because they can also arrest any other ship owned by that exact same person. Plus, authorities can just completely detain any ship involved in the incident until the owner finally establishes the fund.
And if the owner still refuses to pay up, the High Court can take the ultimate step. They can direct that any unpaid amounts be levied by the distress and sale of the ship and all her equipment. They will literally sell off the vessel to make sure the victims and the compensation fund are made whole. Talk about a powerful deterrent.
But to keep things fair, there's a clear before and after scenario here under Section 187. Before the fund is set up, yes, ships can be arrested. But the moment the owner properly constitutes the fund, a massive protection kicks in. Nobody can go after the owner's other ships for that incident anymore, and the High Court actually has to release any detained ships or bail.
The one catch? The money in that fund has to be truly immediately available to the claimants. If the cash is real, the ships are freed.
Section 5. The Mandatory Insurance Rule, the Ultimate Guarantee.
We've reached the foundational guarantee that makes this whole thing work, found in Section 188. Here's the magic number to visualize: 2,000 tons. The law explicitly states that any ship carrying more than 2,000 tons of oil in bulk as cargo is legally required to maintain strict insurance or financial security. No exceptions. It is a mandatory prerequisite to even hit the water.
To make sure this actually happens, the insurance has to cover liability amounts specified under the Civil Liability Convention, and the central government acts as the gatekeeper here. They grant official certificates to Indian vessels proving they have the coverage, and for foreign ships, they have to produce satisfactory evidence of their financial security to the government to get their certificate, too. No certificate, no entry. It guarantees that if the worst happens, the money is absolutely there.
What's really smart is that this isn't rigidly fixed in time. The central government holds the active power to prescribe and adjust the required limits of this insurance. So, as ships get bigger or the economy shifts, the government can turn the dial to ensure the financial safety net is always perfectly sized to handle a disaster.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We visualized a truly fascinating, intricate system today, from how victims claim compensation to the sheer, undeniable power authorities have to arrest ships and mandate insurance. But looking at this incredibly robust legal safety net we've built just to handle the aftermath of these spills, it leaves us with a provocative final question for the future of our oceans. What legal framework should we build next to prevent them entirely? Thanks for joining me, and keep asking the big questions.